And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the FrontLines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Well, I decided I brought this up the other day about Enki and Enlil, a video I found that I thought was gave an interesting perspective on how things came together. I'm not saying that it is 100% accurate. This is someone's interpretation, and it actually ends with the revealing of two individuals that are currently the reincarnations or the current versions of Enki and Enlil on the planet now. So anyway, but I do think it's very good perspective. Again, I don't know true, not true. I tend to have a slightly different, idea about that, but we'll get into that a bit later. It's not overly that long. It's about I think it's 15 minutes. So we'll break that down. I would also like to do some of the house cleaning, housekeeping type of thing. So again, this program is supported by you, and donations are much appreciated. My PayPal link is down below. Other ways to send, you can ask for information for using both Western Union and MoneyGram. And just send me an email, or then my information is down below on how to email me. Telegram is also a great way to contact me. Also, I'd like to welcome Robert Allen back into the chat room for WWG1WGA.love Telegram group. I've had it seemed like 100 and some messages to go through when I looked at it, and so he's blowing up the chat room there and talking about some things. So I haven't seen him there for a while, so I guess welcome back, Robert. So what else? A couple of other things before we kind of delve into Enki and Enlil that I want to talk about, and I don't want to how to say this. We are in a wartime setting, and it's not. I'm not saying it lightly. I'm not saying it offhandedly. This is a war. It's a serious war. It's unlike any war we've ever known. So I do want to point out some things along the way, though I think the diving into some things like Enki and Enlil have some it's good to keep some sort of other things going in the conversation, because ultimately this is part of history, and we have to see how well is it affecting us, because it is part of what the cabal, the deep state, believe in, and that's why it's good to have some perspective in it. Again, this is something we're going, but the important thing also is to realize that in this war, it's unlike other wars. If we go back to the Revolutionary War, we've had people that put their lives on the line, put their money on the line, their reputations on the line. They put everything on the line and said that they were willing to die for their country. Willing to die for their country. That means they're all in. This is the type of war we're in. I know it's hard to fathom that that's something that you really have to contemplate, is you have to put your life on the line at this point. Well, why? Because people are rioting. You have to put your life on the line. All this will pass with the election, and the COVID will also die away and with the election. So we have to realize that their side, the cabal, the Illuminati, they're not giving up. They're not. They're not going to just give up and say, okay, you win, your turn now. No, no. They have to be wrestled to the ground, subdued, and justice may have to be born, must be levied against them so that we can move forward. This is something where lives are already lost. This is the truth, right? Even if you look at just the rioting, the lives that are just lost. David Dorn, that was Dorn, sorry, that was the former chief of police. That we played her video yesterday of his wife, so that basically talking about this for the RNC convention, GOP convention, and it was very emotional, very heartfelt information she was giving us, because this is war. There are casualties of this war. He put his life on the line to fight this war. So we have to keep everything up. So I'm going to cover some news items fairly quickly. It's more or less just to kind of more or less show you where we're headed without getting deep into any of them. So let me first switch over to here. So we got right now 11 current viewers. Hello. No chats yet. That's okay though. So the first thing I want to point out is OAN. OAN is a YouTube channel, a news channel that is in the press room, is the newcomer to the press room, and they are making waves. This is an interview with Trump. I'm just going to
Americans support his presidency. Take a look.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here at the White House with you. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
When you're hosting that briefing room, sitting across from you, there are people there who, if in any other circumstance, you would probably get along with them fine if you weren't president and if they weren't journalists. So something happens, though. Somewhere along the way, the cameras turn on, and all of a sudden, the vitriol starts. Their questions often devoid of rationality, reason, decency. So my question to you is, do you think these attacks against you in that briefing room, are they organic questions from individual free-thinking people? Or do you think that these journalists are afraid they might lose their jobs if they don't attack you the way they do every day?
I think most of them are told what to ask, and I see them reading their notes, and then they look up and they ask this really obnoxious question, and I can respond to it. And I used to love really sparring with them, but now we're getting down to final strokes. We just got a great poll, 52% in Zogby, which frankly was never good for me, and 52%. That's a big number. That's a really good number. By the way, before the plague set in from China, it was over as far as I was concerned. I mean, we were doing great. And then it came in, we had to go back to work, and now we're doing great, and the economy is going to be very strong. We're going to have a great third quarter. But I think they're told, actually, what to ask, how to ask it. And what I do now is, if I don't like a question, I'll say, thank you very much, bye-bye, and I leave. And frankly, I mean, I'm not telling any town secrets. What happens then is that everybody gets angry at the reporter that asked that obnoxious question. I don't mind tough questions. What I don't think is fair are some of these questions that are really statements more than questions. They're supposed to be asking questions of the President of the United States, and if they can't do that, then I do something else.
Your administration has been incredibly open to the press, and
So let me take a break right there. So the reason why I think this is important is to show that there is going to be a shift made against the mainstream media, and OAN is going to play a big part of it. All of the rest of this mainstream media has a goal of getting rid of Trump. What does that have to do with the news? They are part of the cabal infrastructure. So new news groups like OAN, One America News, they have their foot in the door, right? They're in the press room, and now they're getting private one-on-ones with the president, and they're asking the real serious questions. But I want to point this out is that this is a transition point. We have to know that this is happening. This is a very big deal because the mainstream media is the number one way in which the people are brainwashed to think the way they are thinking. So, all right, let me bring up the next one. Now there's another 10 minutes of that interview. I'm not gonna go through the entire things, but I do want to show you another OAN. Now this is about President Trump taking up into the high 20s, or let's say 30% of the black vote. Unheard of numbers.
Convention comes to its end. For you, what are the headlines?
Oh, the headlines is hope. I mean, prosperity, cheering the great nation, and not the doom and gloom, unlike what we saw last week with the DNC.
So patriotic, inspirational, full of opportunity and hope, but for African Americans as well, you're saying. Is that right?
Oh, I'm so excited. Listen, let me tell you something, John. I said this before on your show a couple of times. 2020, November 3rd, will be a game changer. Remember now, President Trump got the third highest black vote turnout in the nation's history. He had Lincoln, and of course Nixon, and now President Trump. I think he has a chance to go even further than that, to double it, John. And I'm going to tell you why. The policies, he's been a catalyst in terms of when he says, what the heck do you have to lose in some of these underserved communities where the predominantly black Americans live, the opportunity zones. John, for example, I have a good friend that's building a retail shop right now in Fayetteville on a private partnership in the opportunity zones. I have another business colleague who's building this beautiful, I'll say it, raised seafood out in Forest Park, Georgia. He had to close down and expand even more. So there's a lot of great opportunities going on. And listen, watch this. In the last few years, the fastest growing minority business has been black Americans in business under the Trump administration.
This issue of school choice is a thread which has been consistently woven.
Again, so this is another OAN news story. And what do you notice about it is that they are actually asking serious questions and allowing the answer, which is not happening on the mainstream media. They're targeted questions to get a certain response, and if you start going off track of where they want to go, they cut you off. All right, so that's another OAN. This is all from just today. So they're hitting them out of the park left and right. So and then I'll show you one more from OAN really quickly. Again, I'm not playing the whole things. This is with Eric Trump.
Adjust. Here's One America's Christina Bobb with more.
So you have middle American Democrats who chose the party because they liked the party's politics, and even your family has some history with the Democratic Party. How do those Americans get their party back?
Yeah, and by the way, I think so some of the policies that have been very historical for Republicans. I think my father's actually changed platform a lot. I think the Republican platform has almost become the Trump platform now, and there's massive changes if you go back 8, 12, 16 years. You also look at the Democratic Party, and I can tell you the radical left today is not the party of JFK. This is not the party of even Bill Clinton. I mean, this is an unrecognizable party. Bill Clinton never would have said, let's defund the police. Bill Clinton would have never called police officers or compared them to the KKK. Bill Clinton would have never said, let's raise taxes by $4 trillion. Right? I mean, it's a different party today versus then. You've got the Squad, you've got Ilhan Omar, you've got AOC, The proposals are reckless. Green New Deal, $90 trillion, would bankrupt this country from day one. So, I mean, I really believe the Democratic Party of 4 years ago, 8 years ago, was simply incompetent, right? These are people that are giving $150 billion to Iran. They were incompetent people. Bad GDP growth, bad job numbers. NAFTA sent all our jobs overseas. They were incompetent. You look at the...
Okay, so he's calling them incompetent, which I can agree with. All right. So, again, OAN, really hitting it out of the park. So, United News Channel is an attempt to create another news channel. I expect that we'll see United News Channel in the press room, and along with OAN. Or we got some work to do to get there, but that's okay. Took them a while. I just want to point out this is a situation that's happening inside the South China Sea, where the Chinese are sending hundreds of boats. So this is 275 boats that are surrounding a Philippine island. So I'm not going to go through with it. I just want to point this out, and why is it important? We're going to see a lot of turmoil hitting on the war front. That's going to be from you say the proxy war. So now we have the Philippines fighting to keep a hold of their islands. China putting 275 boats around one island, right, encircling the island. They're fisher boats. They're Chinese Coast Guard boats. They're making themselves threatening, and the Philippines is asking, or basically saying that they want the U.S. to help with if there is an invasion. They want help. So they've already taken over one of the Philippines islands, and they protested. The World Court ruled against China. They ignored them. China ignored them, and they're continuing. So even though we're fighting in America for the political system, the world system is still in play. China is moving out in every direction. They want to take over everywhere. They wanted to basically put their form of capitalism / communism worldwide. And this is, if you go back to how communism first started, and you go back to the Bilderberg Group, you might have heard the first stories of the Bilderberg Group. The reason why it's called Bilderberg Group, it didn't have that name in the beginning. We don't know what the name was, but they just happened to meet at the Bilderberg Hotel. There was a reporter. This was back, I think, in the 20s when this happened. And there was a reporter that was making money as a waiter. And he noticed everyone around in this group, they were talking about how they're going to put communism in place, right, to rule the world, right? And they're going to start with Russia and China and all this. And this is their plan. They started talking about it back then as their system of control. Now they found that communism isn't working out too well, right, because there's no motivation. So now they're going to basically have this progressive communism. It's kind of a capitalism merged with communism, where where you own, you run the company, right? But the guy who's actually in charge is the government. And they tell you what to do. So this is where we're heading. So it's a war that is going to continue to be pushed out in many ways, but we have to be aware of all the things that are happening. So let me get the next one set up here.
I can't look at this. Mayor Ted Wheeler. Today I sent this letter via email to Donald Trump declining his recurring offer to aid Portland by sending federal enforcement to the city. What a piece of garbage.
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 Okay, so this is a YouTube channel I've started to watch. Timcast IRL. Now, this has Democrat liberals, that had a really successful YouTube channel, and they had some viral videos to start talking about Trump, like the hippie that went for Trump. And so I've started listening to them. So there's a penetration happening right now, right, where we having our values as Americans seeping across all of the parties, across all Americans that are looking at how do we move past this. So here, let's listen to him just a few minutes.
We're in Jersey, so that's
Yeah,
the
that's the point, yeah.
Dude, come on, man.
What is it at this point? Is this just a virtue signal? Does he think he's actually getting something done here? What is he doing?
He's supporting Trump.
Seriously.
Dude, listen. If at this point you have Mayor Frey of Minneapolis, you know they rioted in Minneapolis over a guy who killed himself.
Yes, I remember that. Just got a couple days ago.
They don't care about any of this cause. A murder suspect was running from cops, killed himself.
They literally had camera footage of it happening.
It didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
And that's why I get really bothered when mayors like Ted Wheeler virtue signal by being like, I stand with the protesters. They don't care if you do or not. They're gonna go smashy no matter what happens. They're like, something happened? Can we make it an excuse? Let's go smash.
Yep.
And what's happening is, the more they do this, they can count on the media to cover it up. Think about it this way. If the Washington Post, the New York Times, and CNN were like, how dare these rioters come out because a man killed himself, that's not the fault of the cops. They didn't, though. Imagine if they did. The rioters would get caught and they'd have zero sympathy.
Well, you could have put cultural pressure on them. You could have been like, this is not okay. Everyone knows it. Here's some peer pressure against you.
And because the media doesn't do this, if they get arrested, they're like, Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
Do something.
Yep.
So now they're going out and looting for whatever. And you got Mayor Frey. What is his name? Tom Frey, or is it?
His name is what's his
Billy?
first name? No.
Wilbert.
Wilbert Frey.
Winston.
Yes. Winston. Yeah. Winston
I don't know.
Frey.
His name's Frey. Whatever. So the chat's
Walter
gonna blow up.
Frey.
Like, we know his name. So he's agreed to call in the National Guard over this. Good. Governor Evers in Wisconsin agreed with Trump and will accept federal law enforcement and bolster the National Guard numbers. And I'm like, thank you. I'm clapping, dude. I wish you would have done it sooner. I think they're too obsessed with their poll numbers, and it's kind of pathetic. But I'm happy they're doing it now. Still not going to vote for them in their party because of it, but I can respect that they're doing it right. Ted Wheeler coming out and being like, nah.
Sticking to his guns. You know what?
Look at Cernovich said. He said, you just bankrupted Portland with that letter. No.
Seriously.
He's supporting Donald Trump.
I think you're right.
I would like to thank Mayor Ted Wheeler for all of the support he's given to President Trump by doing these things for 93 plus days. No, this is what really bothers me, because if it's true, like, come on, man. How stupid is Ted?
Man.
Come on, man. Look fat. How dumb does Ted Wheeler got to be?
Pretty dumb.
Okay. So, my point here is we see that even what we call liberal progressives are looking at this and seeing this is insanity, right? That's not our cause, right? He's saying, hey, they're rioting because someone killed himself, right? So there's no cause for it. They say, oh, there's a reason. Any reason will do to go ahead and cause mayhem. So this chaos has to stop, and these people also realize it. So that's why I'm basically saying we need to abandon the Democrat Party completely. Bring your ideas on what your goals are. Bring them to the Republican Party. Don't think about what the Republicans were in your mind and all this kind of stuff. The goals can be achieved. I like watching also Jimmy Dore. As he's as left as it comes, but he's honest about what he wants, right? And he's calling BS on the politicians when they're basically doing something. He wanted Bernie Sanders. There's no way I want Bernie Sanders, right? But they realize, that this is all bogus. The Democrat Party doesn't give them what they want either, because the Democrats, Republicans have been the same. But now this transformation has taken place within the Republican Party. So the things that you want, I say, Medicare for all. What does that actually mean, right? It means that there is affordable health care, right? Well, what is the problem is the system itself is not allowing this kind of thing to happen, because if it does, you'll have the lowest quality service possible across the board. We don't want that. We want maximum quality, the highest quality. And in order to do that, we have to change the actual way the financial system functions, which is also underway. So take the idea, what we want, affordable health care. Right? We want no one to have to go without food, clothing, and shelter as they exist on this planet, even if they do nothing. Right? Can we say that that is a basic goal? Right? That they should be able to survive. And I'm not talking about panhandling. Right? I'm talking about a place to live, food, shelter, a normal life. If people want to be able to move beyond that and they want to work hard and get things, this will come about. But we have to change the way the system works. So this is the things I'm trying to point out, is that there is recognition and sanity across the board. Doesn't matter what party you've been part of. All right. Let's move on. Now, this one is a bit out there. So I'm gonna just to say what this is there are people in I believe this is some sort of commission or city council or something else that's going on here. And there's people that want to sit in on the proceedings. And they're basically in opposition to the people that are conducting the hearings or whatever, or these meetings. I don't know the context of it, but it gets pretty interesting because they're claiming their constitutional rights, and they're basically, trying to say that they can't stop them from what they're doing. Now, I'm only going to play a little bit of this just to give you a little bit of the feel for what's going on here. Reload that. Be funny if it's already been taken down, which I wouldn't doubt is a possibility. Oh, it looks like it's coming. Sorry. Sorry, it's my system is running slow again. That's why I'm shutting down my tabs as I go here, trying to free up resources so that it does not lag too far behind. Well, I think it's continuing just to spin. I tell you what, let's call that one off and see if there's something else here. So this one is so this is the Anthony Fauci is basically talking about what causes there to be an epidemic. And so if you take it in context of what he's saying, there's no reason to basically do all of this major lockdown for those that may have an infected but never got sick. So we're going to listen to this one.
To just add one thing that seems to get lost in that question is that, as Bob said, and I agree, we would really like to see the data, because if there is asymptomatic transmission, it impacts certain policies that you do regarding screening, etc. But the one thing historically people need to realize, that even if there is some asymptomatic transmission, in all the history of respiratory-borne viruses of any type, asymptomatic transmission has never been the driver of outbreaks. The driver of outbreaks is always a symptomatic person. Even if there's a rare asymptomatic person that might transmit, an epidemic is not driven by asymptomatic carriers. Yeah.
Okay. So basically he's saying it doesn't matter, right? If there's people that have it and they're not going to infect everyone else, right? It's only those people who come down with the actual illness. Oh, I actually blew up the video. I downloaded the video. Forgot how they did that. It's okay. I'm going to actually post it in the WWG1 WGA group. So this right here is a demonstration in London. It's happening basically yesterday, I believe it was. So, and David Icke is there. They're basically protesting the restrictions that they're undergoing because of this. Project Fear. Okay, so we get the picture. So he's protesting. I'm going to stop it there because it's a little hard to hear. So we'll stop it. But you say that we are getting to this point where people are standing up. So this is from a tweet from In the Matrix. The Lee family loses control of Japan. Can you say boom? So this is really saying that Abe is part of the Lee dynasty. So it says here, Abe's descendant of the Lee dynasty of Korea. Korea has been a vassal state of China for thousands of years, I heard. I actually think that 1,000 years ago was actually Korea itself was the place where all the kings were from. This was where they ruled from. Now I might be wrong about that, but that is, something that I had picked up while I was in Laos, actually. So I don't. It's interesting. All right. This is we'll skip Tucker. We'll go back to. That's another tweet. This is the Vatican and China in their partnership. All right. So in the mainland. So what are they doing inside China is what they're talking about. So there is basically been a deal struck to allow the Catholic churches to exist, right, within China. So what kind of deal is that? All right. This is an analysis of Vatican and China, Part 1, the mainland. In recent weeks, China has become the focus of the international attention and opprobrium, first for its handling of the coronavirus outbreak, and more recently for a treatment of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang Autonomous Region. Uyghurs, how do you say it? Uyghurs? I've heard it said so many times as Uyghurs, but it looks like it's Uyghurs. But Autonomous Region and its crackdown on democracy in Hong Kong. While the Catholic China watchers have long focused on the ongoing human rights crisis in the country, broader media attention has fallen on the issue just weeks before the controversial Vatican-China deal is set for renewal, placing the Holy See's most delicate diplomatic relationship under a microscope. So this is July 22nd. So they are making a deal with China. So funny things is on, here's my channel. So this is how many current subscribers, 14,066. You know, it just stays at that number. It decreased for a while. I think that they definitely have it on a way that keeps it from moving too far past that. 15,000 is a big monumental thing inside YouTube. You actually, it kicks you up into another level when you get to 15,000. I think I'm being prevented from getting there. So just checking here before we go any further. Say hello to everyone. So Moonshine Girl, hello from Tennessee. Hello. Earthchild, good moments to you. Louis Colbert, hi kids. Hi. And Carol Thompson, I'm sick of the BS. Does that count? My dog says no, you have to do more. Yeah. Car comes by, honks their horn. My dog has to put his 2 cents in. Okay, so this is the video that I was talking about. Kings of Our Past. So it's 17 minutes and 37 seconds. So it's the Enki and Enlil Revelation Endgame, the series, special presentation. So we're going to go ahead and play this guy.
An amazing revelation has been discovered. But first, let us begin with the ancient Sumerian story. Enki, though brilliant, was a spoiled child, jealous of his brother Enlil, and wanting a kingdom of his own. When Nibiru was faced with the crisis of loss of atmosphere, the Anunnaki decided to mine gold on the earth to reseed their atmosphere. Enki saw it as an opportunity to grab power. He fomented a worker revolt, knowing that he could use Nibiru's emergency to force the council to accept anything. Enki wanted a world filled with slaves that he could rule over, which is something neither the council nor the Anunnaki would have ever allowed. But Enki was shrewd. He convinced the council that Nibiru would die if the gold-seeded atmospheric shield was delayed. He convinced them that the workers would not return to duty as they were following his orders, since he was in charge of the mining operation. He convinced the council that the only solution was to create a non-sentient species out of the highest order ape available to do the labor. but make them incapable of reproduction, so they would naturally die off. The council saw no alternative, so they reluctantly and conditionally agreed, and they allowed Enki to carry out the plan. But Enki pulled a fast one, and gave the new species the ability to breed, wanting a permanent stock of slaves for his planned kingdom. Enki went even further. He didn't just manipulate the ape's DNA, but he actually infused Anunnaki DNA into the mix. This would give him slaves that he would find attractive and acceptable to be in the company of. Enki did this both in the laboratory and also allowing his loyal striking workers to inseminate the females he created. This we find in Genesis 6, which led to the Nephilim. When Lord An and his son, Lord Enlil, learned.
Okay. Well, I stopped it there because it's raining. I'm going to get close to my microphone so you can hear me. I do not know if it's loud enough if I was to continue. And so this rainstorm has, let's just say, I think preempted the game. So I think it's better to call it off for now. And then we'll bring it back up tomorrow. Again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for participating in the chat. Oh. Yeah. Got wet there. Now have a it blew over the fan, broke the fan blades, and it's coming down really hard. So thank you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully you heard everything, and hopefully we're able to catch up with everything tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.